Likewise, and welcome to our Trek where the effect shape thought find depth and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. She's helping people build structure and system that lead to consistent, sustainable success. Now than Miss Kyla Livesay. Welcome, Miss Kyla on Abstract Essay. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Absolutely. Happy to be here. Like you said, my name is Kayla, and I'm a Midwest girl through and through, and super passionate about business and personal development and leadership and all of those things. And I'm excited to dive more into that today.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Miss Kyla. Thank you. And today let's talk about business at 18 and hated being self-employed until built system that set you free. And congratulations. So you started at 18 at full of energy. What was the specific moment or realization that made you say, I hate this? What is the feeling of being trapped, overwhelmed, or something else?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I don't know that there was a big moment. I think it was more so the little whispers that happen every day. Seeing other people talk about being self-employed and loving it and not relating to that feeling at all and kind of feeling like I was a fraud or there was something wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing people talk about time freedom and feeling like I had no time whatsoever, so that must make me a phony and somebody who's not meant to be self-employed. So there were a lot of, I think, little moments along the way where I just felt like I didn't quite fit in. And I didn't realize it wasn't, me not being cut out or not being good enough, but it was more so about I needed to change the structure and get some systems in place in my business so that I could have the lifestyle and the success in my business that I wanted.
Yes, like you, Miss Kayla, I want my financial independence. Yes, that's one everyone. Yeah, everyone wants that financial independence. Many dream of being their own boss for the freedom. You live the reality. What is the biggest gap between the fantasy of self-employment and grinding reality your experience?
I think the biggest realization that I've had has been how well the little changes make a big, big difference. A mentor of mine said to look for little hinges that swing big doors. And I think that is such wise advice that I have really tried to take to heart and really just focusing on not doing 100 miles an hour every day for 18 hours a day. Yes, I think sometimes there's seasons for that, but I think most times in our day to day life, it's about the little choices that we make. Do we choose to get up on time? Do we choose to have a morning routine? Do we choose to have a plan for our day every single day and practice good time management skills, things like that? For me, I found that consistently making the small choices correctly are actually what can move the needle.
Yes, people, consistency is the key to success and one of the ingredients. So, Miss Kyla, tell us the shift from I am the business to I own a business is huge. What changed in your thinking that allowed you to yourself as a builder of a systems, not just a shift operator?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a really fun part of the business. And I started doing things that I was not ready to do and I didn't feel qualified to do yet. So I'll give you an example. I had gotten advice from a mentor of mine to start doing weekly calls with our team. So the structure of our team is we're all remote, virtual, spread out all across the United States. And we don't have that in office time, and we had been meeting monthly calls, and this person really advised me to switch those to weekly. And I had all the self-doubt running through my head. Well, what am I going to talk about? Nobody's going to want to listen to me. How am I going to come up with enough content? People are thinking I'm just wasting their time. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to put my doubts to the side. And honestly, I think there was a little part of me that just wanted to prove her wrong and say, well, I tried this and it didn't work. Now what? So we started switching to the weekly calls, and then we started building a culture. Then we started building a team and ownership. And I think that was a big turning point for us, was to kind of take things to the next level. And I don't tell that story to say, well, everyone needs to start doing a team call with their team. I say that to say, whatever the advice you get that you think you're not ready for or you're not good enough to do yet, just jump in. And I think that the action will make you feel ready. The repetition will make you prepared and really grow you in just such a good way.
What was the very first system you built? Client onboarding, invoicing, content creation, or why did you start there and what is immediate relief that it provide?
The first system I put in place was actually one for myself, not for my business. And it was a system for my time. So in our team, we call it a DMO, right? Your
Mhm.
daily method of operation, what you're doing every single day. And it wasn't a big, having a great point of sale system or coming up with some monster way to do really good follow up or implementing a CRM. And we've done all of those things and that's been fabulous. But I had to first become disciplined with myself and my time before I could start expecting other people to do the same, right? So I put a DMO in place for myself that was really, really focused on my specific goals. I could tell you my DMO, but if you don't have the same goals that I do, you're not going to be happy with the results of that DMO, right? Because we might not have the same goals. And so that's another system that we've then replicated to the team, is helping people once they get started with us, whether it's in the client capacity, whether it's in the employment capacity, whatever it is. What are your goals? Now let's work backwards to see what we need to do every single day to make that happen. And that system was absolutely foundational for the growth that we've had.
You say systems set you free. What does the freedom look and feel like to you now that I didn't before?
Yeah,
Is it time, mental space, or the ability to scale?
I think it's everything. I've definitely experienced all of those things and more since we really got intentional about implementing systems. The team has grown over 400% in the last 4 years. I think that is a direct result of our systems that we have in place. Mentally, I feel so much more clear. I feel so much more confident. I think it's a big outcome that we've seen from systems is the confidence, not necessarily in saying, well, I have the perfect system and I know exactly what to do. There are so many things that we put in place that were, now I look back, man, we had a rough start, but we got started, right? I didn't know anything about what a CRM was. I had never owned a business before. I didn't know anything about what a CRM was. I was using a notebook. Was that the best system? No, but it was at least a start. So, from regardless of what point we started or how elegant or not elegant it was, success, mental clarity, time freedom, all of that has improved since we really got serious about making a plan and having good systems.
A system is not just a software. Can you give us an example of a simple non-tech system that had an outsized impact on your sanity, Miss
Oh, yes,
Kayla?
absolutely. I've got it right here beside me. Not technology at all. It is having my actual paper planner. So one system that I have, one routine that I'm very serious about, is every Sunday night before I go to bed, I fill out my planner for the week. I keep a Google Calendar. So I look at any appointments I have coming up, things that are scheduled, and those get put in first, and then I time block out the rest of my time. I think I heard a lot of time management advice that was like, every single day for 2 hours in the morning, you have to do this. And, having really, really regimented schedules. And I just kind of always felt lost because it's like all my days aren't the same. I don't have a consistent schedule and routine every day. So, what do I do? So, I just started making the most of the time that I did have. And I'd look at, okay, where are the blocks of time I have available? And then just being intentional about what I'm going to do there. I heard somebody else compare it to like taking a road trip. If you were like, yeah, I want to go, say I'm driving up north to Minnesota, and I just get in the car and I don't have any directions, I don't have an address. I'm just like, well, I'm just going to drive there. I might get there, I might not. If I do, I'm not going to be very efficient with my time and my resources. It's just going to be a lot more difficult than if I just put in an address and know exactly where I'm going. And I think it's the same with our time. Yeah, I might get some stuff done if I don't plan out my days, but if I have a plan for exactly where I'm going every day, I'm a lot more likely to get there and be more efficient. And so that's a non tech, good old paper and pen system that I absolutely do not go without.
System often required letting go. Miss Kyla, what was the hardest task to systematize and delegate? And how did you overcome the fear that no one could do it right?
That was a struggle. You kind of read my mind there. I think I had kind of like a badge of honor of saying, "Well, I'm in charge of everything and I do everything around here." And I took that as a good thing when it wasn't. And so you're exactly right. There was a little bit of mental tug of war there, you could say, to work on automating and delegating some of those things. But it's really just about playing to the strengths of the people around me and finding things that each person can do really well and saying, hey, I could use some help with this. And a lot of times people are happy to help. They love to be included, they love to be thought of. And I was kind of making the excuse, well, there'll be a burden. Well, they'll be, they have other stuff to do. They're really busy. I was really good at making all kinds of excuses. But, the reality was people loved being able to have ownership and be a part of things. And it wasn't, a burden to them at all. So it was just about finding what could somebody do and feel really confident doing. And then being really intentional about communicating with them so that they had success doing the task, right? I can't just ask, Daniel to do something and say, okay, you've never done this before. I'd like you to do it. Figure it out. Don't call me. We'll talk when it's done. That's probably not realistic, right? So
Mhm.
having a good line of communication to make sure that they're successful in the thing that you ask them to do. Good delegation is helping the person to complete the task well, right?
Mhm. Definitely. And on the process and practicality, Ms. Kyla, for a solopreneur feeling overwhelmed, where should they look first and find the bottleneck that, if systematized, would give them the biggest quick win?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's kind of individualized for people. So what I would do is look at your time, and this is actually an exercise that I did. Um, Look at your time, map out what you're doing with your time, not for 3 months, but for 3 days. And then I took a actual highlighter. I've got my color coded highlighters right here. I took an actual highlighter and said, okay, green, these are the things that I like doing. These are the things that make me money. These are the things that drive revenue for my business. And then I went through and read and said, these are the things I hate doing. These are the things that are not making me money. These are the things that could be delegated for less than it's taking me to do them. These are things that could be automated. And then I just started going through all the red tasks one by one, having a system for follow up in my business, having an evaluation plan for the people on our team, things like that. So I think it's really about what do you like to do and what do you want to outsource or automate or delegate for your business.
Miss Kyla, I'm inviting you to be my guest also on my new podcast called The Entrepreneurship 101, and let's talk about business mindset. Okay? So, where you building system to handle more volume, or were you primarily building them to reduce your own cognitive load and simplify, or what's the difference?
Can I say both? Is that too much of a cheating answer?
Both. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know if that's exactly what you're looking for, but I think there was an element of both to it if I'm being realistic. Some of it was as a business owner, especially if you're starting a business, you're wearing all the hats, right? You're wearing the marketing hat and the sales hat and the customer service hat and finance and operations, right? There's so many things for entrepreneurs that they're trying to deal with and think about. And as I've put more systems in place, I've started to realize how much cognitive overload I have, right? There's all kinds of studies that say we're making thousands and thousands of decisions every single day. And so, additional things that I had to make decisions about, additional things that I had to think about. Um, Sometimes, I don't know if you can relate to this, but sometimes it was just like, oh my goodness, I literally cannot even think about making one more decision right now.
Hmm.
And so
Yes.
systems has definitely helped with that, and I've found that things run more smoothly, but I've also found at the end of the workday, I have a little something left over, right? I have something left over for my family, for myself, because I'm not so mentally overwhelmed and mentally drained from having to keep so many things in my brain at all times.
How do you know a system is working? Is it our save, error reduction, or something less tangible like decreasing your own Sunday night of dread?
The Sunday night dread, right? That's the infamous thing, right? I
Yes.
think I think there should be some tangible things, but I don't think that means that if you can't measure it, it's not worthwhile, right? We've seen percentage increases that I can track in the close rate of our team since we got follow-up systems in place. We've seen percentage increases in our sales conversion rate since we put customer service plans in place. So I think there is something to be said for what we can measure, for what we can track in a spreadsheet. And I'm a pretty type A person, so if you can track it or color code it, I'm all there. However, I think that shouldn't mean that we write out the things that you maybe can't measure quite as easy. And we're all one person, right? Everyone wants to talk about work life balance, but the same me who is at work and the same me who is a business owner and the same me that is a leader is also the same me that wants to go out for date night or wants to be Aunt Kayla. And I can't separate that out, right? I'm just one person. And so if your business is taking all of your mental energy, no one is separating that out from their personal life for any extended amount of time. So I think there's definitely benefits to be seen in both areas.
The personal transformation, Miss Kyla, how did building this system change your identity? Did you start to see yourself more as an engineer, architect, or less as a doer?
I feel like the mental shift and the identity change really happened with systems because it gave me so much confidence. I mentioned, kind of towards the beginning there that there were definitely times that I felt like I was a phony, I was a fraud, I was just trying to keep the wheels on the bus and make everybody think that I knew what I was doing and I was drowning, is basically what it felt like. And having systems and knowing that things would be executed well has given me so much confidence to the point where I now see myself as somebody who is actually an entrepreneur, not just faking it. Somebody who is a leader, not just hoping that nobody, sees through the facade that I'm putting up. And so it really has been a big identity shift and huge in my confidence in the way that I can show up. And I think that makes me better able to help people when I actually see myself in that way.
On advice and audience takeaway, Ms. Kyla, knowing what you know now, what are a piece of advice about systems should you give yourself on day one of the business?
I would say just getting started. I think I put off systems for a long time because I made excuses about the things I didn't know. Well, I don't know how to do that, or I don't know the best CRM to choose, so I'm just going to keep using a notebook. I don't know the best place to host my website platform, so I'm just not going to make a website. And I let the idea of it not being perfect stop me from making any progress whatsoever. And I would say just get started where you are. You can upgrade it later, but get something in place to get the ball rolling. And what I found to be true for me is the more I saw myself having the payoff of having the system in place, even if it was small, even if it was marginal, the more I saw the payoff, the more excited I got about seeing what else could I systemize? What else could I automate? What else could I upgrade? And now it's just, it takes over my brain about what I can systemize and things like that. So, really, the first step is always going to be the steepest. You just got to get started.
Miss Kyla, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, I'm a book 101 review in sixth season this year, comedy 101 in third season, and food 101 in sixth season as well, geography 101 love letters, movie 101 review, music 101 our fourth season, science 101, sex 101, and it's third season, and my baby podcast, mental health 101. Law 101, Bible Verses 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and Motivation 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Kyla, have the principle of building freeing system spilled over your personal life? Do you approach health, finances, or relationship differently now?
I think I am more intentional about how I show up in those areas, and I think I bring more confidence to those areas when my confidence as a business owner increase. Like I said, we're all one person, and so I think that if I can be better in my business, that helps me to be better in my personal relationships, and if I can be better in my personal relationships, that spills over and helps me to be better in my personal finance or in my spiritual life. And so to me, I don't see those things as, taking away from each other, but I really see them as synergistic.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Kyla. Thank you, thank you. So can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I am having a lot of fun over on TikTok, and I'm about to roll out a 4-week challenge here that's going to be starting the first week of February, specifically for business owners take the first steps to systemize their business. So, really excited about that as well.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Kyla because if you support her for sure, more and more empowering business will rise. So, one more question, Miss Kyla. Your story challenges the hustle at all cost narrative. How do you define success now, and how is it different from how do you define it at 18?
Oh boy, totally different. Success when I was 18 was having something that is going to pay the bills, having something that's going to put me through college. And now, I've crossed those two things off the list. And now it's really about how can I help people? How can I help people find the freedom and the success that I have found by systemizing and automating?
Yes, and Miss Kyla, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Mordika people, see you soon.